Ladies and gentlemen, it's profile time. Now, we've mentioned before on the pod, haven't we, that sometimes when we see former players as pundits and TV personalities, we can forget what great players they were.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because we repeat ourselves quite a lot.
This man could be put into that category. It's Ruud Gullit.
Oh, sexy football.
Sexy footballer.
Also.
What did he do before he managed Newcastle then? I didn't know he did anything.
He did some stuff. We're going to talk about that. But first, the first thing he did was that he was born on September the 1st, 1962.
5 years before the Summer of Love.
Indeed.
So he lived through the Summer of Love.
He did.
Yeah.
And was probably better for it.
The Summer of Lank, because he was quite lanky.
Yeah, he was.
Rakish.
Now, here's a tout for you, James or Jim. One of the most successful and accomplished Dutch players in their history.
I've
Now,
absolutely no problem with that.
That is not saying something.
Yeah, it's true. But
they've had some players, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you.
He's probably one of the more complete players, I think.
Yeah, a complete player, definitely.
Everything.
I mean,
he's graceful, he was strong, he was
right down to the drullet.
Any position.
Any
well, that's
position.
what I was going to say. You might say he's one of the more complete players ever, because he was such a good player all over the pitch.
Yeah.
Good drullet.
Through the middle of the pitch, really.
Defender, midfielder,
Yeah.
and forward. A total footballer.
Yeah.
The drullet, the dreadlock mullet. I think Eddie Temple Morris coined that phrase, and God bless him for that. At the age of 10, it was reported that he was playing on the mean streets with Frank Rijkaard.
Yeah, he was, yeah, that's true.
That is incredible if you think about it. We'll come on to it.
I think Robin Van Persie, and I forget who else it is.
Too young.
There's another current player that was just exactly the same story. They grew up playing street football
Gullit and
together.
Rijkaard were childhood friends and grew up on the same estate. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Absolutely incredible. So he signed his first professional contract with Haarlem at the age of 16.
Harlem?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. It's with two A's, though.
Two A's,
Yeah.
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 That's not what I was thinking. Nazzle?
Globetrotters.
Yeah.
He made his debut at the age of 16, becoming the youngest player ever to play in the Dutch league. Now, he started out playing centre-back for them, a libero type of role.
Love a libero.
Sort of Beckenbauer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apparently,
A bit of a...
Luke Moore?
Yeah.
Well...
You're too kind.
It's...
Ruud Gullit has had a lot of delusions of grandeur, so it's a fitting comparison.
Oh dear. The comparisons may stop because he averaged, as a centre-back, 1 goal in every 3 games.
Decent.
Flipping heck.
Unbelievable.
Windass-esque.
Indeed.
In 1981 he made his debut for Holland on his 19th birthday. That's a lovely birthday.
Yeah.
Depending on the result, really. Could be horrible.
I think they lost 2-1.
Oh, what?
Oh, come on. It's a friendly, I'd imagine.
Just because it's your birthday doesn't mean you can
running
coast.
wild here.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Feyenoord.
That birthday's turned into a nightmare.
Feyenoord fancied a bit of him.
Yeah.
So they got him. They signed him up. Played with in the same team Feyenoord as Johan Cruyff.
He was winding his career down by that point, though, Croy.
Yeah, well, he probably wasn't that good then, was he?
Oh, yeah, rubbish.
Now, for them, they put him further up the field. Scored 40 goals in 101 appearances as a more kind of creative midfield player. It's still a great record. As a striker, you'd probably be pleased with that. Unless you were Dixie Dean. And they did the League and Cup double that year in 1984. Dutch Player of the Season. Then he moved to PSV Eindhoven. Won the league in his 2 seasons there. Also won the Ballon d'Or in 1987.
That's right.
And who did he dedicate it to?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, he was
still in prison on Robben Island.
Gullit was really, really supportive of Mandela before it became fashionable to do so.
Yeah.
And I think Mandela even said to Gullit later on, a number of years later, Mandela said to him, I've got something along the lines of, I've got many friends now, but when I was in prison I didn't have many.
Yeah.
But you were definitely one of them. To Gullit.
Can you imagine Mandela?
They're big pals apparently, yeah.
Gullit's always been very sort of forthright in his opinions about things like that, hasn't he? And it's great to see.
Politically active. Isn't he released like protest songs or stuff?
He has, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really, really
in
odd.
1988 that was with Revelation Time.
It was about
That was the
apartheid,
group. That was the
wasn't
group
it?
called Revelation. Yeah, I forget the name of the song. I think it was number 3 in the Dutch charts. The much coveted spot.
I'm not taking anything away.
Champions League place.
But I'm going to say 2 Unlimited.
Yeah, okay. My argument is invalid. What I would also say though, with regards to dedicating his award to Nelson Mandela. He later on visited Robben Island, Ruud Gullit, of course, and he met some guys there who were cellmates of Mandela. And he said that when he dedicated his award, they said that they couldn't believe what Gullit had done, and basically because of the way their thinking had been altered through apartheid, they thought your award's going to be taken off you for saying that. Absolutely incredible. So it was such an incredible gesture, really. In 1988, of course, he did release the single, but he also captained the Dutch national team to their first major trophy, winning Euro '88.
Yep. What's going to be the bigger high?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what was you decide, listeners.
It's easy to sort of forget about Euro '88 to a certain extent because there was only about 8 teams in it. I think it was a very small tournament. There was 2 groups.
It was,
and
England got a battered.
Well, we lost every game. We came bottom of our group, and Van Basten scored a hat-trick against us, ripped us to pieces.
Yeah,
but
the Irish beat us. Ray Houghton, I think it was.
Gullit was excellent in that game, though. He really was excellent.
Him and Van Basten up front.
God.
Scary, James.
It is.
They both scored in the final against the Soviet Union.
Hang on a minute. That is not doing any service to Van Basten's goal.
Well, hang on, I was about...
Good, go on.
Let me. Gullit scored a header, of course, and a lovely, powerful, close-range header it was.
With his dreadlocks, whipped the ball, didn't he?
Yeah. Delish. And then Van Basten scored a volley.
Van Basten scored the greatest goal of all time.
Should have crossed Greedy.
Yeah, an angular volley.
I'm not being funny, but Gullit was wide open on the back post.
Well, again, to be fair,
there's one player who shot like that.
He
would have been Gullit.
Yeah, he would have.
I was open.
Yeah.
Nice finish, but next time.
Yeah. Lift your head.
Yeah. And of course, he teamed up with Van Basten and Frank Rijkaard, his childhood friend, at Milan. Forming a lovely little Dutch trio under Arrigo Sacchi.
Yeah, love a trio, didn't they, Milan?
Yeah, Baresi was involved there. Maldini. That was a team.
If you're talking about an influential group of Dutchmen, Euro '88, Van Basten and Gullit scored in the final.
Yeah.
European Cup final '89, Milan beat Steaua Bucharest 4-0. Gullit scored 2. Van Basten scored 2. One of Gullit's goals was a brilliant volley. In the 1990 European Cup final, Frank Rijkaard scored the winner.
I think he did,
1-0. Yeah, so they're influencing finals all over the place against Sven's Benfica.
Svenfica?
Yeah, Sven's Benfica. Yeah.
Svenfica, right? Sure.
Svenfica. Yeah.
Thank you.
But honestly,
well done.
I think Gullit's first goal in the European Cup final was a tap-in, but his second, Haji Stoya stepped off him about 12-15 yards out, and he's rifled the volley in the top corner, and he's off.
There's only one way to do a volley, and it's to rifle it.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah.
He was always very good at low volleys, as I recall. Like sort of that one he did against Southampton, as I recall, as a Chelsea player. I'm sure
that was a great
sort
goal.
of just the swivel and sort
swivel his hips and got over the ball.
So low.
Yeah.
Wow.
He scored a couple of nice ones for Chelsea like that. Yeah.
He was also, going back to it, he was also in the Dutch national team for Italia '90. Didn't have a brilliant tournament, the Dutch. They
knocked out by Germany, West Germany, yeah.
So were we, so fair enough. All the best teams were.
Yeah.
He did score a nice one against the Irish, though. Nice little move.
I think
finished off.
The group that was Group F, and England, Republic of Ireland, Holland, and Egypt. And
that's right.
Rubbish group. Yeah. Egypt went out because 3 went through.
Yeah.
Because there's only 24 teams.
Only one game was not a draw, and that was us against Egypt. And Mark Wright scored,
which meant Egypt went home, and England, Republic of Ireland, and Holland went through.
The Dutch, now we go forward just a couple of years. He was obviously having a good time at Milan, although started to pick up a few injuries. He left Milan for Sampdoria in '93, teaming up with David Platt.
I think, wasn't he quite angry about that? I think Milan basically think he was in the knackers yard. Just send him out to Sampdoria.
That's right. Yeah, he won the Italian Cup with Sampdoria. He was there. I think he was there for a season. Then he was back to Milan, then back at Sampdoria, and then he sort of.
But he was back at Milan for like 6 months or so. Wasn't he?
He went sort of back and forth between the two.
Like he was having an affair.
Yeah.
Easy.
Your words, not mine.
Can I personally distance myself?
What's wrong with that?
There were stories kicking around.
I was going to say you'll see at the end. He didn't play for Holland at USA '94 because he had a bust up with the manager. Can you believe that?
No, Holland. No way.
Before the tournament. Which was quite courteous of him, I thought. Usually they save it for the big stage. And then in 1995, he made the move to West London and signed for Glenn Hoddle's Chelsea.
He was loving it on the King's Road, wasn't he?
He did.
Cosmopolitan Gullit. Loving it.
At Chelsea, one can't forget that they were very much a mid-table side back in those days. Quite unfashionable.
There was a great Gullit quote, because he started off at centre-back under Holland, didn't he? There's a great quote where Gullit just massively bigs himself up, and he says something like, it was annoying playing centre-back, and the reason I got moved forward is because the ball would come over, I wouldn't header it, I'd bring it down, I'd tag a man on, I'd put it into space, and the right back wouldn't even be there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, okay.
But the way that he sort of says the quote sort of suggests that Hoddle was genuinely frightened that he would lose the ball at any moment, so that's why he pushed him into midfield. I don't want you beating a man on the D.
No, exactly.
Don't want that.
You don't mess around on the D.
And Hoddle would have said, no one does that, apart from maybe me.
He would have done
and then slid in hard.
Yeah.
Hoddle did say, with regards to these things, you're right in what you're saying about you trying to take it down and pass it to the teammates who wouldn't know what to do with it. He said, Ruud, it would be better if you do these things in midfield. So he moved him up there. And he adjusted very well. He was named runner-up to Eric Cantona as Footballer of the Year.
He's a one-man spine, isn't he?
He really is.
Great stuff.
Just like
to go with his own lanky spine.
And it wasn't that fashionable for players to come to the Premier League then, remember?
No. He was one of the first.
It was like a retirement home, wasn't it?
Bergkamp and
we were the MLS back in the day.
I suppose it sort of was a retirement home for Gullit, I suppose.
Well, he was kicking on, but he could have gone to some big clubs, though, to be fair.
Well, hang on. No disrespect.
Well, but not at the time they weren't.
No, true, yeah. No, I agree with you. I just worried about
wasn't
the
there
emails.
some famous...
He was one of the first big foreign signings in the Premiership, which I don't think it's stupid to say helped the league get where it is today.
Absolutely. Did you?
Yeah, Lombardo came over after it.
Lombardo went to Palace.
Brolin.
Who can forget at the same club Winston Boharder?
Salenzi.
Yeah.
Don't ever go at the brush.
All right, you've gone too far there, Pete.
Sorry, lads. Ravanelli.
You've hurt your second team.
Indeed. I mean, I can remember at 1990 when he played, and I thought he was the best player in the world. I was a young lad at the time.
It's not a controversial shout, though.
No,
but I mean, he was one of those players. He was absolutely up there.
You looked at him and you just thought, wow.
He was like a lovely swan with dreads, because he was all like bendy.
You thought, wow, what a moustache.
What a moustache.
One of those players where if you've got hair like that, or if you've got a Valderrama sort of afro, you have got to back it up.
You've got
you know what I mean? You've got to be good to stand out for your play as well as your look.
Always seemed to get in his eyes. I never understood, because I imagine...
The Alice fan hadn't been invented, Pete.
But you need to tie that back, surely.
Yeah, I agree with you.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Wasn't my decision.
The medals and awards would disagree with you.
Yeah.
Well, imagine what he could have achieved.
Yeah, that's true. He could have won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Of course, he took over as player coach at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, winning the FA Cup in 1997. And he took Chelsea, I think, to 4th place in the league, which was no mean feat. And then he was sacked the following season. He was player coach for them, lest we forget, and then he went to manage Newcastle United, Pete. This is where the profile kind of begins to get a bit murky.
Sexy football.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a culture shock for him, to be perfectly honest.
Dropping Shearer for the derby was a good move, wasn't it?
Well,
and alienating local hero and captain Robert Lee as well.
Yeah. We're sort of also saying that the Milan derby is way better than the Wearside Tyne derby. It's just that's a big thing to tell you.
I actually agree with that.
Well, yeah, but you don't say it to the supporters, do you? Really? True. So I go, this is nothing.
Yeah,
but
you think this is good? I'll tell you what, I've played in some games before.
To be fair, he wasn't the most personable of people, and I think his ego was unleashed upon the squad. But I think to a certain extent he earned it to a huge extent.
But he didn't even give Rob Lee a squad number, did he?
Yeah, he just completely dropped him. And I think he tried to sort of divide and conquer the squad. He wanted to be the big man in the dressing room and stuff. Big man on campus, yeah. And so he knew that Lee was good friends with Shearer, so he dropped Lee and tried to sort of... But that sort of clip where, to be fair, he took us to an FA Cup final, but I mean, he did follow Dalglish, who had done the exact same thing, and he finished in exactly the same position, 13th, so it's kind of... he just fell out with Shepherd and fell out with all the players, and then I think
one of the things he did from memory that everyone got annoyed about was that didn't he say at some point, well, the derby, it's just another game. It's just another game or something. And then all the Newcastle...
he downplayed it,
yeah. Got a bit annoyed about that. And then he dropped Shearer for the derby, didn't he?
Yeah.
To make a point,
Ferguson for...
Naughty. So, yeah, not a happy time in Newcastle. He resigned. He wasn't sacked. He resigned in August 1999. He also had stints at Feyenoord a few years later. LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
Of course, and now he's in Chechnya with Terek Grozny.
He fell out with the management at
Terek Grozny, no doubt.
He fell out.
He wants to be careful about that.
I was going to say, wait for that to happen.
He fell out with the manament in America because over Baba Yaro, he'd signed him up and he was clearly rubbish.
Zero idea. An incredible career.
But what a player, eh?
Yeah. Let's remember the good times.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, he's primarily a player. He's not had that much of a management.
No, he had
a good season with Chelsea, but some players don't make the leap. But he was what a player he was.
Yeah. Indeed. It's also worth pointing out, I think, that his third and current wife is the niece of... Yes, James. Is the niece of Johan Cruyff. There you go, you see.
Is he trying to create some sort of super child?
Yeah.
Is it just some ego project trying to live through his son again?
Like Aguero and the daughter of Maradona?
Yeah.
Or a total family.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works. But I'll
so like, as it happens, like if
the son becomes the dad.
If the dad's doing like the washing up and he gets to go and do something else, the son can slot in.
Yeah. Or if the dad sleeps in, the son can go to work for him.
It's total family. Yeah. Richard. Ruud.
Yeah, he should have stayed. He's still there. Of course, he's now a pundit on Sky Sports, lest we forget. But I shall end with a quote from George Best. Bestie said this about Ruud Gullit. He said, "He has all the skills. He's not afraid to do things with the ball, and he looks as if he's enjoying every second of it. By my reckoning, that's what makes him an even better player than Maradona."
Controversial.
High praise, and in he comes to the Dean Windass Hall of Fame. Come on in, Ruud Gullit.